Choice. No pretense, no hidden schemes. Just sports, passion, fueling dreams. From the field to the court, every play that's made. Real takes over fake debates. Turn it up, hear the honest sound. Unfiltered sports all year round. Discussions pure, no masquerade. Real takes over fake debates. Turn it up. Over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates. Real takes over fake debates.
And we are live as we talk sports, Sean Webb. Real takes over fake debates. It's not Monday, it's Tuesday. Sorry, we have to push the show over another day, but we here, we rocking SB and Sean Webb. Sean, how you doing on this Tuesday?
Doing good, SB. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, man. I'm kind of, I know we missed out on Monday, but I'm kind of glad because a lot more things happened that you probably would have missed out on and had to wait till Friday to talk about. But we can talk about it now today. So if you guys watching, make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, and make sure you guys subscribe. But Sean, I'm gonna get right into it. We're gonna start off hot. Joel Embiid is the problem with the 76ers. A lot of things that go wrong with Joel Embiid. Great player, MVP caliber player when he's healthy on the floor. Probably one of the best players in the league, top 5 for sure. Top 3, if you want to put him in there, just depends. Sometimes he looked like the second best player in the league. Sometimes he looked like the best player in the league. I'm not gonna lie. But it's a consensus thing going on with Joel Embiid. Health, talk about his leadership skills, just being available for the team. But it just came to our attention or to public knowledge that 76ers guard Tyrese Maxey reportedly called out Joel Embiid for tardiness during team meetings. This is a bad sign, Sean, because at the end of the day, you are the leader of the team. You are the best player of the team. You telling the team that you want to compete for a championship. This is a wrong way to start off, especially with the season just starting and their record being the way it is. This part of it shows that. I know Joel Embiid has been out, but things like this lead to more losses for your team. Things like this don't help your team win championships. But am I wrong for saying Joel Embiid is the problem, John? And what's your reaction to Tyrese Maxey calling? That's crazy. Your young guard calling you out, bro. That's bad.
So, SB, I don't think you're wrong for calling Joel Embiid the problem. I think he's a part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to put some of this on the Sixers front office and Daryl Morey in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Today's NBA, with the new CBA and things like that, requires a standard.
Mm-hmm.
And the standard is you can't just spend all this money. The people who make a lot of money are expected to show up and play well to give yourselves a chance to win. Joel Embiid says he wants to win a championship, play and win a championship in Philly. Well, You can't win a championship if you don't play. That's the first thing. But then couple that with the fact that Tyrese Maxey, who I think slowly is becoming the star of that team, whether people will admit it or not, has to call you out. And this isn't a bad thing in that they have a good relationship. They do hold each other to a certain accountability. So what Tyrese Maxey was doing is doing his job and saying, bro, you have to come to work. You have to come, and even if you're not playing, show up and act like you give a crap. And it doesn't seem like that's what he's doing right now. If you're the Sixers, the expectation is you gave Joel Embiid a lot of money this offseason. Extended him, and you expect him to be there. I'm not big on speculation, but there's a big part of me that wonders how much longer Joel Embiid is going to be a Philadelphia 76er. And if they can afford to continue to, kind of allow some of the stuff that's going on, even just to start this season, to go on, couple that with the fact that he's someone who traditionally misses time. And not the small amount of time. We're talking a lot of time. So I do think if you're the Sixers organization, you can't do it now because you just gave him an extension, but there may very well be some conversations this coming offseason about Joel Embiid's future in Philadelphia. And nobody disputes his talent when he's available. But one, he's not always in the greatest of shape, even when he's available. And two, again, the fact that he misses so much time because of injuries and because some of those things are freak things or whatever, but just some of the attitudes and some of the things that he's done. I'm not going to get into that stuff with the reporter or the columnist that he got into it with or whatever, because that's a whole different issue. But I do think there's some serious questions about how much longer – there will be some serious questions about how much longer Joel Embiid will be a Philadelphia 76er after this season.
It's crazy you said it because I was going to ask, I had a theory in my head that I think Joel Embiid's trying to find a way out of Philly. And I noticed that with a lot of NBA players, what they've been doing now recently, which I think the NBA at some point going to do something about this. Like, they assign their extension knowing they don't want to be at the team no more, and then try to get a trade right after they sign that contract. So they get if you go to another, you get more money if you get the contract on a team that you've been staying on. So, that max contract different for Joel Embiid on the Sixers instead of if he get traded to Miami with a place that he kind of want to go. And I'm going to let him know right now, Joel, the things you're doing in Philly, you ain't going to last a week in Miami. You won't last a week.
And let me go ahead and say this right now. From the Sixers perspective, if you're going to trade Joel Embiid, it will not be a team in the Eastern Conference. It will be a team out west. Now, that'd be the first thing. And then the second thing is if you're a team that says, hey, we're in the Joel Embiid sweepstakes, how much are you giving up knowing that you're getting someone who, again, misses a lot of games and isn't always available, not just during the regular season, but even in the playoffs?
I give up one pick, maybe unprotected, but the next two, because they're gonna probably want a lot of picks and a couple young players. And I gotta be a team that's I'm just that one piece away that we could just get the championship like this. But the most I'll probably give is one unprotected pick, and maybe that from that first year that I got Joel Embiid, because I know we're gonna win a lot of games. But every other pick after that I give gotta be protected. Gotta be protected. I'm sorry, I can't take that chance. And the most picks I would probably give for Joel Embiid is two picks, and then two young players or two talented players. Or two. That's the most I can do. Because you said, it's hard. It's hard because I might only get 2 years with Joel Embiid.
Yeah, and from the Sixers' perspective, if you're going to trade Joel Embiid, who is a former MVP, who has a lot of time left on his deal, I'm not trading Joel Embiid unless I'm getting probably a high-level superstar and potentially another young player along with that and additional draft compensation. So again, and we know Daryl Morey. And just think about it. If you know Daryl Morey and you've watched Daryl Morey work in Houston and now in Philadelphia,
He will get
Daryl
you better.
Morey likes to win trades. He will not make a trade that he thinks is a loser for the Sixers. So if you're, and again, I think, I'm just again speculating. A team like Houston, for example, a team that may feel very well they're one superstar away from really being very competitive and back to championship contention in the West. You know, do you do something around Sengun and one of your other young players? And that's what I'm saying.
I'm not doing it.
It's again, desperation makes fools of us all. So
I'm not giving up Sengun. That's the 76 is gonna be better than the Rockets. They get like Sengun.
But but you're talking about having to make the money work. And again, what is Philly looking for in return? I wouldn't necessarily be gung ho to give up Sengun, but to get talent, you got to give up talent. And it's generally got to be, and you're talking about Joel Embiid. You just mentioned Joel Embiid. When he is healthy and locked in, he's easily a top 2 or 3 player in the NBA.
Yes.
So, and obviously, again, as we mentioned earlier, a former MVP. So I don't think I think the Sixers are going to view him from that point. Now, again, how are the rest of the league viewing him? Are they viewing him as a distressed asset, as an asset that, again, has a very limited amount of time left? That would be the key, and again, I don't want to make an apples to apples comparison, but I think about the Lakers trading Shaq. One of the reasons why the Lakers traded Shaq outside of, the Kobe stuff or whatever was because Jerry Buss just said, realistically, I cannot pay you this amount of money this late in your career when it's pretty clear you're on the downside. And the reason why he's on the downside is because Shaq didn't always take care of himself like he should have in the offseason. And he was starting to get the little nagging injuries and he had the toe thing. So, it may be something like that where it's like you're a team that feels like this is the one move we have to make to really put ourselves in that contention. And again, you're going to have to give up some young talent.
You're going to give a lot of young talent.
And again, a potential superstar, close to superstar level talent to do it. I just don't see a lot of teams do it. But I did say Houston because I think Houston is that one franchise where you just look at kind of the makeup of their roster and some of the assets they have, they may feel very well like, hey, this is the one we make.
Cottage asks, is Joel Embiid overrated? Oh, no, he's not overrated. He's just not healthy. Salute Tiffany in the chat too. She's about fire John Harbaugh to get rid of Justin Tucker. That's a real concern. Y'all lost to the Steelers and they didn't score. They didn't score a touchdown. They only scored field goals. It's crazy. Former Bulls star Bob Love dies at 81 after a long battle with cancer. Everybody know Bob Love, his history with the Chicago Bulls as a player. What's your reaction to this? As a Bulls fan, this L for us. This sucks. Shout out Bob Love, by the way. But Sean, what's your reaction to the passing of Bob Love?
Certainly, sad news. I know he had a long cancer battle. When you think about the Bulls pre-Michael Jordan, there's probably 3 names that come to mind, and Bob Love is one of those names. Bob Love, Jerry Sloan, and Artis Gilmore. Bob Love the Bulls don't have very many retired jerseys, as you know, SB. One of the retired jerseys they have is Bob Love's number 10.
Big love.
Along with Jerry Sloan. And again, while the Bulls were not great during that era, those 2 guys were really their franchise cornerstones in the late 60s and early 70s. Bob Love was also one of the players in the 60s who came from an HBCU, went to Southern University in Baton Rouge. He's from that area. Really had to fight his way into the NBA to make it in the NBA because a lot of teams didn't necessarily think he could play in the NBA. He got drafted by Cincinnati, and there's a lot of things that happened. But when you think about Bob Love, it's Bob Love, Chicago Bulls for a reason. Again, a tremendous loss for the Bulls family and community. But Bob Love again was a great player, not in the Hall of Fame, but for his time, was an all-star, all defensive guy, and he and Jerry Sloan again together really embodied what those Bulls teams were about in that era.
Yeah, like I said, as a fan of the Chicago Bulls and for the Bulls family, this sucks. RP to Bob Love. Just like Tiffany said in the chat, condolences to the Love family. Prayers to everybody through this tough time. Like I said, Bob Love was known for his time with mainly with Chicago Bulls, and also that the Bulls don't retire jerseys like that. Mr. Love is definitely up there. We definitely gotta get a couple more jerseys up there. You know, D Rose won't go out to be up there. Think Luol Deng might have to get up there. You know, we got to get a little bit better at that. If we we do. But just quick, just prayers to the Love family. Next up on the list, the Lakers are honoring former coach Pat Riley with a statue outside the downtown arena. What's your reaction to this? Is it well deserved?
Yeah, it's absolutely well deserved. I mean, when you think about the Lakers and just the Lakers franchise, and I'm saying just all-time Lakers, Pat Riley is in that conversation because not only did he coach the Lakers, but he also played for the Lakers. He was a role player on the Lakers for many years. But obviously, most people know Pat Riley as the coach of the 80s Lakers, the Showtime Lakers, the Dynasty Lakers. So certainly a well-deserved honor for him. When you and SB, I think when you just talk about basketball lives, there's very few people who had a better basketball life than Pat Riley.
Pat Riley resume goated, not gonna lie.
And that goes all the way back to his time in college at Kentucky, and then obviously, in the NBA. But we know Pat Riley is an all-time great coach. Whether he's the greatest Laker coach of all time, not going to dispute or argue that. That's a very subjective argument. But that said, when you think about the Showtime Lakers of Kareem, Magic, and James Worthy, Pat Riley is right there. They are the foursome that made it happen. And I would add Michael Cooper to that as well, because he was a part of that as well. But well-deserved, and again, best time to honor, folks is while they're still with us. And so I'm glad that the Lakers are doing that. But that said, at the end of the day, his basketball life is with, that squad behind me. Most of his basketball life has been with that squad behind me. So I look forward to, he got the court named after him this year. But I would guess that probably a statue, will come in the near future as well.
I won't be surprised if Miami make him a statue next. Now Miami go probably get the statue done now. We gotta have a statue first.
I can tell you the only place he ain't getting a statue is with the Knicks.
No,
sir. After everything that happened, and Knicks fans are still mad he left and how he left. But that said, he came to a better situation, nicer weather, and so move on.
That's crazy a fan base, but for me, definitely well deserved. Shout out to the that's a Pat. What's the nickname? What's the nickname they got for Pat Riley? In Miami,
the Godfather.
The Godfather. Yeah, that's the Godfather. Man. He single-handedly changed the Heat franchise. Like, he gave it a Heat culture. The Heat culture thing comes from Pat Riley. The Miami way comes from Pat Riley. Like, his imprint is all over a whole franchise.
And that's the funny thing when people say Heat culture, SB, to your point, they're not really talking about Heat culture. What they're really saying is the Riley way. Because the stuff that happens in Miami happened in New York, and it happened in LA before that. The only difference is the players change and the uniforms. But the culture and the attitude and the expectations, that's the Riley way. And so,
Yeah, and then so like you said, it embodied it everywhere he went with the Lakers, Knicks, the Heat, and that's what Riley does. But I think that this is more than well deserved. Shout out to him. Shout out to Pat Riley getting on. Shout out to the Lakers franchise for honoring Pat Riley. Is he getting to a point where but not actually just during the show, we didn't get a chance to really chop it up about it yet. But is it getting to a point we getting too many statues, too many people getting statues, or I'm just getting old? And everybody just getting on. What's going on?
I don't want to say too many people getting statues. I mean, I think that's that's the typical honor that, the greatest honor I think you can get is, that your image and likeness is embodied in a space where it'll last long after you're no longer with us. There's some people who, deserve statues or have earned the right to statues who don't have statues, or who don't want, and maybe don't want statues for different reasons. Akeem Olajuwon is a great example of that. Akeem Olajuwon doesn't have a statue in Houston, but it's for religious reasons.
Oh, he don't want a statue at all?
I think it's forbidden as a part of his religion to have one. So they have a plaque of Olajuwon or something like that. But but it's not to say that Olajuwon didn't earn that right. Olajuwon is, as we know, is considered by many one of the 10 greatest players ever. So it's not that he didn't earn it. It's just that's not something they've done. But also there's others who've earned it, who their franchises may not necessarily honor guys in that way. In that way, it could be a logistics issue. It could just be that franchises don't do that. Some have chosen that way, some have not. I think, again, short of getting your jersey retired, which is obviously a tremendous honor, I would think the next probably greatest honor is to have a statue. So I don't think too many guys are getting it. I just think it's just the way to honor guys for what their contributions.
No, sure. A lot of things change over time. And then, long story short, Sean said, I'm just getting old. That's what Sean just told me. Yeah, you just getting old, bro. But changes happen all the time. Good and bad reasons. Time flows by. Inside the NBA is moving to ESPN.
Right.
We knew something was going to change. We didn't know where they was going to go. It got to a point where it was so they were so concerned about what's going to be the move inside the NBA that a lot of people was thinking about retiring. Like Chuck was finna retire. Shaq was going to go off, do whatever Shaq does. I think Kenny, I don't know what Kenny was planning to do after that. And then Ernie, I think Ernie would have probably just stayed there, did college, and then just coast off to the sunset to retirement. Great sports show, one of the best, like a lot of people, sports fans like the show. I think it's a good balance of entertainment, some basketball knowledge, some review. But I think like that show, out of all the sports shows out here, had the perfect balance of a little bit of everything. And that's why it worked in jail so well. But, you got to keep a show that's that good. They won a lot of awards with this show, too. You got to keep it alive somewhere. You can't just let the show like this just go away. So ESPN, not shocked that they did this. They try to keep the ratings up. But what's your reaction to this, though?
Not surprising. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like Inside the NBA, which they're probably in the minority.
I love it. It's hilarious.
But there's a lot of people who don't, because the one thing I will say about Inside the NBA, SB, and why it's such a unique show is you never know on the nights that they're on how the games are going to go. They are probably the one constant that you generally know is going to be entertaining. It's going to be off the cuff. And to be frank, the reason why the show is the way it is because of Charles Barkley.
Yeah, Chuck is a fool.
Right. A lot of analysts want to be like Chuck, but this is who Charles Barkley is. He's really, truly being his authentic self. Shaq, obviously has his moments. Kenny's been on the show since the mid-90s, and, he brings his own little, thing to it. And then Ernie, being kind of the conductor, is the one who really allows it to all happen, very organically, as well. So it's the standard for the sports studio show. It's what ESPN has been trying to create for years that they've sucked at because they didn't have a Barkley. And I think to a great degree, they didn't have an Ernie Johnson, either. But what they didn't have what they don't have on ESPN that they've had at Turner is a lot of freedom.
That's true.
And, with it moving to ESPN, so just to be clear, Turner is still going to produce it. They're still going to, be working out of Atlanta studios and all that stuff. It's just going to air on ABC and ESPN. Yeah. Will ESPN come in and try to control it and change all this stuff? Probably not. If you watch ESPN, what ESPN is doing with programming now, a great example of that is the Manning cast.
Or the Pat McAfee show, because Pat McAfee just do whatever he wants on his show.
The Pat McAfee show. So what Jimmy Pitaro, who runs ESPN now, is basically saying is, hey, we like your property. We like what you're doing. We just want to bring it on and we want to distribute it. You can continue to produce it and do what you like with it. We just want the content on our network. So, you know, I don't think ESPN will be picking up real takes over fake debates because they ain't ready for us. But the point is, but
coming soon.
Maybe on another platform. But my general point is that I don't expect inside the NBA to change too much. The only concern is Shaq's not under contract for next season. This is the last season of his contract. Are they going to get Shaq, back under contract, or will they pivot to someone else until presumably Draymond Green, who's under contract with Turner, retires and hangs him up? Because I think they really feel like he is the one who's kind of the next natural person to come in for that show. And again, he's someone they want. One thing about inside, you notice at SB, they always want to kind of keep somebody on who recently played. And so that's their thought process probably with Draymond Green, is that Draymond is Barkley-esque. He's not Barkley. He's Barkley-esque, if I can use that term. But they really want to, have someone who recently played, come in. So that's going to be the thing I think you're going to see over the next, couple of years, depending on how much longer Draymond plays, is him make the transition to that show at some point.
I think after this contract up, I think Draymond going to be done. He got this last little bag that he wanted to get. I think he going to coast off to the sunset. For me, I like the move in general, because at the end of the day, ESPN, like you said, this new era ESPN, they just letting the shows rock. And then honestly, they just said, hey, look, your show doing numbers, you got a good show, we just go buy it. They just buy shows. Pat McAfee, come on, we like your show. You doing good. Inside the NBA, come on, bring you up. Because honestly, if you really look at it, how ESPN is set right now, the only real show that they built like from the ground up that's still there is what, First Take, right? I think it's First Take, and what's the other show that they be having with I can't think
Get
of
Up. Where you got Get Up.
Bill.
You got Get Up, you got PTI. I mean, it's still some of their staple shows that were on prior to, those were, I call them John Skipper shows. So John Skipper was running ESPN at the time. He was the one that was kind of ushering the columnist becoming the TV personality era. So again, the Stephen A's, the Jamel Hills, the Tony Kornheisers, the Michael Wilbons, bringing in those type of folks. But now what you're seeing, I think, is a shift away from that, and you're seeing the people like us, the content creators who have built a platform, or again, in like the Manning's case, they want the Manning personality on the network. They just don't necessarily want the Manning personality in the booth. So if Peyton and I'm not saying that if Peyton wanted to be in the booth, Peyton could be in the booth. But if you watch the Manning cast, it's really perfect for what they do well, because they're just talking.
Yeah, it's like they're just watching the game, chilling. Yeah,
they're watching the game, they're chilling. They may break down some things here and there, and they got Bill Belichick, who's on during the first half, talking about some different things or whatever, and really doing a lot of teaching of football if you're really paying attention. But it's not, the Monday Night Football announcers booth. So I think that's what you're seeing from ESPN, is that they just want unique content and interactive content.
Hey, Sean, that's what Tom Brady should have did instead of trying to go. Actually, he should have did him a Manning cast so he could just sit on the couch and just talk. Because give me that booth, boy. I don't know. This ain't looking good. But he got that back, though. Got that back. Yeah. But we got to switch over to the gridiron, though, Sean, because big major news out of New York City. The New York Jets are firing general manager Joe Douglas. Are you shocked?
Not at all. Not at all, SB. This season has been an absolute flop for the Jets. They came in this season with a lot of expectations. I know earlier we did our picks before the season. I picked them to win the division. I thought they had a lot of talent, and that with Aaron Rodgers coming back healthy, if he just played, good enough football, that they were going to win the division. Yeah, I know.
I picked the Jets too, and I think I did too. I picked the Jets too. Yeah, we got. They bamboozled us. They was fool's gold.
Yeah. Never again.
Fool's gold.
Never
Never
again.
again.
Yeah.
Never again.
No. So, but not surprised, SB, not at all. I think he, and honestly, I think he was probably worn out. I don't think people always understand the emotionally taxing nature of that job, but particularly the job when you're not winning and you came in with a great expectation based on the talent you have to win. Once they got rid of Robert Saleh, it probably made sense to move on from Joe Douglas. I think what's going to be interesting is now that they moved on from the GM and head coach, what happens with Aaron Rodgers this offseason. I think he said he wants to come back. I think he says he still wants to play. But if you're getting a new head coach and a new general manager, they very well could say, hey, we respect Aaron Rodgers. And maybe they decide, hey, we're going to go with Aaron Rodgers, but they're going to also want to bring in their own guy and, and develop that person for the future. So going to be a very interesting offseason for the Jets for many reasons, but certainly, we'll see. And, there's an issue with Woody Johnson that I don't want to get into, that he may not even be around, after January. So,
now I got to look it up.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Yeah.
Woody Johnson.
Yeah.
Jets. Owner. Okay, I was the owner.
Yeah.
Wait. It's a lawsuit?
No. Remember, he was the ambassador to Ireland during the first Tupe Fiasco administration. And now that Tupe Fiasco is back in office, I think he may very well assume that role again.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, a lot of stuff up in the air for the Jets, potentially. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, not surprised they got rid of him, SB. Not at all.
No, I'm not shocked too, because this is a bad year. This is a terrible year. Also, honestly, a lot of these football topics think about people might be losing their jobs and getting rid of. But I'm not shocked either. But I'll be even more shocked if they bring Aaron Rodgers back. I think when a new GM comes in, and when a new GM comes in, he wants the team to be around his foundation and his game plan and his blueprint. Because I have seen all the times when a new GM come in, usually the quarterback is gone. Especially they got to get a new coach. They bring in their own coach, they bring in their own quarterback, and they want to build something up. And then Aaron Rodgers is old, and Aaron Rodgers hasn't been showing anything that have us like, yeah, you got to keep Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been playing well, and the Jets team has not been playing well. So I would be shocked if Aaron Rodgers actually is on this team next year, but we have to just wait and see, especially with these young quarterbacks in this draft right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if I feel bad for any young quarterback who go to the Jets, because they ain't developing a quarterback over there, just like another team we're going to talk about in a second. But yeah, no, I'm not shocked at all. Sean, I'm gonna just straight up say it. The Cowboys stink. Trash. So when I was looking for topics up on the show, I stumbled across videos of First Take. They always talk about the Cowboys. If you ever need any Cowboys information, just go to First Take. They can be 2-11, 1-10, and at any point of the season, they can just be trash. It's not even worthwhile, but they're gonna find a way to still talk about it. So it came to my attention that in Jerry World, the Lions have more touchdowns in Jerry World than the Cowboys, and your Saints, who are having a down year, have more touchdowns than the Cowboys in Jerry World. That is awful. This team is trash all the way around. I know Dak is out, obviously with injury, but I don't really think, you can really blame Dak at this point in time. I think the defense is atrocious. They can't stop the run for anything. The offensive line is not as good as it's usually been. Their run game is atrocious. They cannot have no impact on the game at all. The only bright spots of this Cowboys team was Dak and CeeDee Lamb. The two people who wanted to get paid, and you waited to pay them, so now you get to pay them more than what you could have paid them. Because now the team is cooked. I don't know what else they can really do until the offseason, and you got to go get it in the draft, because you're not going to be able to really get nobody. And then if everybody keeps saying which we're gonna talk about next in a second. Everybody keeps saying that they need to get rid of Dak. They just signed Dak Prescott to a contract. That's a lot of dead cap space. Oh, the Broncos just did with Russ. They didn't do it on the first year. Like, bro, you know how high that dead cap money will be? It got to be in the hundreds, right, Sean? Because it's gonna be on the first. It's gonna be in the hundreds. What you gonna do? You might as well keep him on the team at this point.
Yeah, now they can spread it out over a certain number of years, but even then, SB is still a massive cap.
And then also, Sean, Cowboys, leave Deion Sanders alone. He is not coming. He not coming. Deion Sanders is not coming to the Dallas Cowboys. Y'all need to y'all just chase big name in the headlines instead of Cowboys just going to actually look for a coach that's really available and that can really help the team. Stop saying tank for Shador. They just paid Dak Prescott. Any quarterback that the Cowboys get is going to be drafted 2-3 years from now. This Dak Prescott ain't going nowhere. You ain't even to pay nobody the money they just paid Dak to sit on no bench. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. But Deion not coming. He already told y'all multiple times he's not coming. Y'all keep creating this. That's what's the Cowboys fans so delusional. And I can tell that they got this in their mind that Deion Sanders from the league Colorado to go to the trash Dallas Cowboys and then go get Shador Sanders and get rid of Dak Prescott with over $100+ million in dead cap space and expect Deion Sanders to say the franchise. What about that makes sense, Dallas fans? Can one of y'all Dallas fans make sense to me? But this team stinks, Sean. And what's your reaction to the Cowboys stinking up the joint and your team got more touchdowns in their stadium than them and they be in that stadium every other week? And why they not letting this Deion Sanders stuff go?
Well, it's been, I mean, again, this seemed to be a long time coming. Perhaps I think the greater issue sometimes is teams don't self-scout well. They don't self-evaluate well. And let me just point out something here, SB. Houston, Green Bay, Philadelphia, and Baltimore. What's the two things they have in common?
You said what teams again?
Houston, Green Bay, Philadelphia, and Baltimore. What's the two things they have in common?
A winning record.
Okay, three things.
They got a good quarterback. They got a run game. They scored in Jared. I'm confused.
Paul's right there. The run game.
Oh, run game. Okay.
They all went out and got free agent running backs this offseason. You know the other thing that ties them. They were all playoff teams last year. So what did it tell me? Even as playoff teams, they realized they could get better. Yes. And they saw a means and a path to get better. Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley. All these guys were available. And how many of them got calls from the Cowboys?
Zero.
Derrick
Henry said they didn't even call it. I bet he happy he didn't go to Dallas now, though.
Probably.
Yeah.
Although after Sunday, well, never mind. I ain't gonna say that. But no, the point is that you have to self-scout, and you gotta be very honest about your self-scouting. And I don't know if the Cowboys necessarily do that. I think there might have been a little bit of delusion in their assessments of their team last year. Once they got smacked by Green Bay in the playoffs the way they did, which was, to be truth be told, a long time coming. When you look at the last few games of their regular season from last season, they were always trending this way. We just didn't expect it to be as bad as it is.
That's true.
Because again, I think most people, just by virtue of the NFC, had them pegged as a playoff team. May not win the division. I think most people had Philly winning the division. But that said, it's just really bad. Now, as far as the Deion Sanders thing, let's be very clear. College head football coaches at Power 5 schools have more say-so, power, and autonomy at that level than they do in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They are the faces of the program.
Yeah.
They, especially if they're winning and they're bringing in a lot of money and a lot of attention to the university, not to say they're not untouchable, but they generally get to do whatever it is they want to do.
Right.
Why would Deion Sanders leave that to go to the Dallas Cowboys?
It makes no sense to me. It don't. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, what do they got in their mind that make them think that?
Short of him getting a 10-year, $150 million check to leave and getting the control and the say-so about the roster and a lot of power in the front office, it's not happening.
It's not happening.
It's not happening. And he has a great relationship with Jerry Jones.
So he know how Jerry is too at that. He know how Jerry is.
But it's not happening. And I think the other piece is that, again, if you have that power, you want that say-so. Part of it is you want to say, hey, here, I want to get my own quarterback. Presumably Shador, but I want to get my own quarterback.
No, he wants Shador. If he comes to the league, he might as well run with Shador.
As you just said earlier, SB, it would be massively crazy for the Cowboys outside of having the first pick of the draft. If the Cowboys had the first pick of the draft, could they conceivably say, hey, we're going to move on from Dak and take Shador? I don't know they'll do that, but I'm just saying, could they conceive it? Anything's possible, right? We've seen crazier things happen. I think the general point is that it's not an easy fix with this team, and it's going to take really a whole offseason overhaul to make things at least competitive, for this team. And I don't know. I just don't see Deion Sanders doing that. I think, again, if he's going to consider the NFL, and again, I don't think he is. He's very clear he loves coaching in college and working with young men, that if he were to leave Colorado, it would be to go to Florida State, for example, or some other school. But I just don't see, for what he's been able to do the last 2 years in Colorado, I just don't see him jumping ship like that. Again, it would take a massive offer.
Yeah, they got to offer him something crazy
to make it happen.
I could be like, I understand. I know you didn't want to leave, but I understand why you left. Like you said, it has to be like a crazy amount of money on the years. Where it's like, you can't turn that down. But it's not necessarily. I don't see it. They already recruiting Shador replacement. They think it's this 5-star recruit quarterback, Lewis. They already got that set up. Like, Colorado going to be good for a while. Now, how long Deion coaches there? I know everybody just think Deion going whatever him, Shador Travers going, but I think he going to try to coach a year without him. I think he going to stay there. Now, I think it's a better chance Deion just hangs it up. If that was the case, if they was worried about that, I think it's better chance Deion just hang it up and say he retires, then just go to the NFL. I'm sorry. Sean, we had another game that happened. So I was mainly watching two games, and I watched my Chargers too when the Chargers game came on. But I mainly watched the Bears versus the Packers, and they'll beat them, bro. The Lions are the truth. I'm sorry. The Lions are like this. This is they putting up 50 on people every week. And Ben Johnson, bro, with Ben John, I said John. It was like Johnson, right? It was Jones. Ben Jones, right?
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson went out to the coaching market, tried to get a head coaching job, wanted a certain number. He felt disrespected. Came back to Detroit. This man has been on a mission. I ain't never been seeing somebody so mad and so pissed off that he got disrespected. He's proving a point. Like, bro, they put the backup quarterback in. That's how bad Hooker got some time. He got a snap in. Guess how bad they blew him out. I was watching that game like, bro, the Lions are like crazy. And that combination of Sonic and Knuckles, Gibbs and Montgomery is ridiculous. And it shows you the true value of having a great running back on your team, but not necessarily just having one. Having two great running backs makes a difference on your team. It makes the quarterback job a lot easier. But I also watched the Bears game. The Bears versus Packers. It was a close game. Went down to the wire. And this is what happened, Sean. when you coaching for your job instead of coaching for the win.
Can I say this?
Go ahead.
Just to the point, because I know we're talking about your boy Everflus.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a strong possibility that Johnson can make that drive down I-94 from Detroit to Chicago and become the Bears' next head coach?
I think if Ben Johnson was to go to the Bears and how that offense look now, I mean, how he will make Caleb Williams and the offense look will be ridiculous. But I don't think he's going to take that job because then he had to play the Lions. That's in his division twice a year. So if he was to go to the Bears will have to overpay him for him to take the job. And I think that's the only main reason that he won't take it. Because I heard that they was talking about this before and he turned it down like the Bears. So I don't think he even considering the Bears just because of the strength of that. He don't want to be in the same division and he got to play why is his name drawing a blank from me? Campbell. He don't want to play Campbell twice a year. So I think there's no way he goes to Chicago. Chicago needs him though, especially offensively. Chicago needs him. Chicago needs him bad. But I watched the game, and this is why when you coach for your job instead of coaching to try to win the game. The Bears on the last drive. Caleb Williams actually looked like Caleb Williams from college on this drive, made a lot of good passes, get down to like the 40, 45, 46, in the 40 ranges. 30 seconds left on the clock. Instead of going for at least one, you got one or two more plays in you, or at least run it, run it to get a little bit closer. He decides, no, run the clock out. We're going to kick this 40-some yard field goal. They launch the field goal, and it gets blocked. My question is this. Has Matt Eberflus coached his last game for the Chicago Bears? I think it's time. It's done. That last game literally shows the example of what's the true problem with this team because they got rid of the offensive coordinator. The offense looked better than it did weeks prior. Eberflus is the problem. That's it. And I think the main problem is I'm not going to necessarily say he's just a terrible coach. I ain't gonna say that. But I just think when you coaching for your job, it's certain things that you play as too safe. And you won't take a risk that you probably normally would take because you don't want to risk the chance of losing your job. But I figure like if you on a hot seat anyway, I just say that how I look at it. If I'm on a hot seat anyway, I'm going out in the blaze of glory then. Because somebody can't ever say I tried to go for the win. Oh, look, let's go for it. But what you think?
I think what loses coaches their job is one, you don't have a clear direction for developing young talent.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second thing that loses coaches' jobs is you lose in situational football all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I know people are going to point to what happened on Sunday, but this goes back even to the Hail Mary. Situational football.
Yep.
I think those two things are really a microcosm of the Matt Eberflus era. I don't see in that division, because you mentioned in that division, you have
that's the division in the NFC right now too.
Right. You have Dan Campbell, you have obviously Matt LaFleur, and you have Kevin O'Connell, all top tier coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can continue with Matt Eberflus as your head coach, because I think if you were just ranking those coaches in the division, Matt Eberflus would be number 4. And I don't think you can win a division with the 4th best quarterback or the 4th best head coach.
Nope. Mm-mm.
And it's very clear that from a head coaching perspective, they are number 4 in the division. So has he coached his last game? No, I think he'll get to finish out the season. But has he coached his last season for the Chicago Bears? He better.
Yeah, he better.
And here's the other piece too. While I don't think this will happen, the organization, Ryan Poles, and they cannot get caught up on a fake hustle run in December like they did last year.
Yep.
And if they do that and decide to keep him, they're going to get flamed. So if you decide to keep him and let him finish the season, I'm okay with that. But I think it's pretty clear it's time to move on, and you need an upgrade there.
And also to your point that it's a possibility for the Bears to make another late run, because honestly, a lot of games that they lost, it was either the game was close or just the offense just looked horrendous and they couldn't score enough points. So it's gonna be games, because like that Commander game could have been a W. This last Packers game could have been a W. And then what we talking about the Bears now, when the record like, oh, they finally beat the Packers, so they'll probably have a way better record than what they got right now. And then Matt Eberflus, then we talk about Eberflus differently. But that's not the situation, because he can't handle situational football. But Sean, to your point that you asked me a question earlier, because I don't think Johnson coming there though.
Right.
What if, somebody get off the TV set and they make the call? What about if you go get Belichick?
My belief, SB, is Belichick is not a long-term answer.
I can agree with that.
I think if you're a team that feels it's in a very competitive space to try to win in the next maybe 2 years, I think Belichick is your call. But I think you got to get someone who, again, understands how to manage the situation they have with a young quarterback in Caleb Williams. There are some pieces on that Bears team that I think are, obviously very good, but you need someone who can ostensibly come in and establish a very strong culture and be a part of building that culture. What Dan Campbell has done in Detroit is establish a culture. When he said in his first press conference, they were going to be biting knees, caps, and things like that. Everybody looked, they're like, "Wow, that's weird." That's crazy. But what he was talking about was establishing there's a certain physicality that we're going to play with here, and we're expected to play with here. And you see that week in and week out. People get caught up over the finesse and a lot of the crazy play designs, particularly offensively. But look at how they play within the trenches on the offensive line and the defensive line. That's where it started. And they just build it out from there. That's what I think the Bears need. Is we got this very young, and you saw even on Sunday, SB, there were some things Caleb Williams does in the game that'll make you go, why he was the number one pick. Why everybody was making the Mahomes comparison. You just have to have someone who can help hone in on that, but also, again, mainly build and establish a culture.
And I'm trying to think coaches available NFL. Who could be that besides, obviously, I just don't think, I think Johnson will be outstanding for the Bears. But I can't see him going to the same division. I mean, even with Brian Flores with the Vikings, I think he'd be an outstanding coach to have. But I don't see him going to the Bears in the same division.
I think there's a couple of names that you'll put out there, and you'll probably say, you think are the right kind of guys. And not saying it needs to be an offensive versus a defensive guy, but obviously Eberflus being a defensive guy, you would think they probably say, hey, okay, we want to go to the offensive side now. Is it Bobby Slowik, the offensive coordinator in Houston? Is it Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator in Tampa? Tampa runs a pretty high-powered offense, not Detroit level, but still a very high-powered offense. Is it Clint Kubiak, who's the offensive coordinator for the Saints right now? Is he going to be in the head coaching conversation? So I think there's going to be some guys out there certainly, available. But I think whether it's on the offensive side or the defensive side, I think the primary thing you want is a culture builder. You want someone that's going to come in and establish a culture and will have a plan for how they want to help Caleb Williams grow and to live up to, what we potentially think could be a very good quarterback for a very long time in the NFL.
Oh, I Tiffany want to get rid of Harbaugh so bad. Harbaugh not even that bad, Tiffany. Y'all just Harbaugh not going nowhere. That's y'all.
You know what Harbaugh is? Harbaugh is that person you've been in a relationship with so long, and it's like he'll do something and you'll be like, you know what? It might be time to move on, but then he'll do something else and be like, you know what? You get another week. You know what I mean?
All week together.
Yeah. So that's I think that's where the situation is with Harbaugh in Baltimore right now.
But I to your point was what you were saying, though. I do agree. Like, you got to get somebody who's going to establish something with this young quarterback. And I think if you're going to go this way with the Chicago Bears, go get somebody who coached the style of play he played in college. Go get a coach that is more beneficial to your quarterback. And then go get a defensive coordinator who was a lockdown defensive coordinator. That's it. So I can't talk Browns there until this man Leroy Leonard's in the building. Taj might like this topic. Wow, we talk about the Giants and the Cowboys today, man. Must be a dry week in sports, brother. The Giants are demoting Daniel Jones to quarterback number 3. That means Mr. Vito starting again for the Giants. Are you ready for the Italian guy to take over for the Giants?
I mean, it doesn't matter.
The Vito. No, they're still gonna lose.
And again, Tommy DeVito, I think he did some decent things last year when he had to start, for the Giants. I was a little surprised they didn't go to Drew Lock, to be honest.
You know why they went to DeVito? It was because just to get the fans hyped up again.
Perhaps, but this move, and to be very clear, this move was really about, just like Denver did with Russell Wilson last year, the Raiders did with Derek Carr the year before. This is, we have serious questions about whether or not you're our quarterback of the future. We don't want you to get hurt because we don't want that injury guarantee to kick in. I think Daniel Jones has a $23 million injury guarantee on his deal next year. If they get rid of him and he's, not hurt, it's a small cap hit, but it's a much bigger,
I'm falling down some stairs. We getting that injury guarantee.
Well, I mean, again, football injury guarantee. So, that's really the key. So, yeah.
Tap it on the sideline. Oh, pull my hammy. Oh,
yeah, maybe. But I think it's just clear that, it's time for them to organizationally move on. Sadly, they're not doing the same thing with Joe Shane, their GM. But that said, this move makes sense for the Giants. Are the Giants overrated? Are the Giants rated at all?
Right. I'm like, what?
Yeah. So, I just don't think they're rated at all.
No, they're not.
Yeah. So.
And y'all not getting Shedeur Sanders too, so I'll just let you know that now. Prime already shut that down. Ready for Cam Ward to be our quarterback. That's probably what's going to happen.
Maybe Cam Ward,
Maybe.
But no, I just think it's just the Giants just saying, hey, we got to move on. And again, I don't necessarily think the Giants are necessarily going to draft a quarterback necessarily. They could be very well in the free agent market or in the trade market.
It's a lot of people who need to lose their job over there. You talk about the GM just get fired. The New York need to fire another one.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that it's not a guarantee they're going to draft a quarterback necessarily. Everybody says they'll draft a quarterback. I don't know if that's necessarily what they're going to do, particularly if it's not someone there when they draft that they like. So, and they had a chance to draft a quarterback this year and they didn't, because they could have drafted Michael Penix and they didn't.
They could have. Do you think Daniel Jones played his last game?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, when you get booed by the fans while you walking to work, it's over with.
Yeah, and again, they didn't just bump him to the backup. They bumped him to the third quarterback, which means he is the emergency quarterback, which means he will only play if there's an emergency.
And they might sign somebody else to play. Who on the practice squad QBs? Get come on, man. We gonna make a mission side. Everybody get the chance.
Yeah, is Davis Webb still there? Because that's pretty much.
Come on.
So yeah.
I'm praying for Mr. Neighbors over there, man, because I know he over there suffering in New York. Another great receiver finna get wasted by the Giants. Tough. So obviously during this weekend too, we also seen the fight of Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. This was the most heavily betted fight in years, and I feel like a lot of people got finesse. A lot of people did. This fight was kind of a snooze fest. And me as a fan, I hated seeing old man Mike Tyson in the ring fighting. Also, it's theories out there. You guys can look it up for yourself that the fight was rigged to the point of like they just took it as like a quick little spar match, and you get your check and get up out of there. So if you look up online that the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight was rigged, it's a theory. Remember how Mike Tyson was aggressive in the first, and then once Mike Tyson kind of got like over aggressive, Jake Paul clinched him, and it looked like he was saying something to him, and then Mike Tyson acknowledged him, and then ever since after that clinch, Mike Tyson stopped throwing punches as fast as he was, or trying to like actually win the fight. But what was your reaction to the fight? Did you enjoy it? Was it boring? Was it trash? And do you believe it that theory is real, that the fight was actually rigged and both fighters was pulling punches and they just did the finesse of the century?
Yeah, SB, first of all, I thought the fight should have been billed as an exhibition. For them to bill it as an actual fight, I think was part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You have a guy who's 58 years old fighting someone who's 31 years, their junior.
Mm-hmm.
That to me should have never been a real fight.
No, it shouldn't.
And once the fight became official after 4 rounds, it's like, why? But I think they did that so the fight would make money. And the fight made money.
It made a lot of money.
It made a lot of money. I think there's a difference, SB, between a fight and an event. What you saw the other night was an event, not a fight. Now, that said, the co-main event and one of the undercards, I think it was Barrios versus Ramos, they were actually really good fight.
Mm-hmm. The undercard fights was good.
They helped save the fight. If you could watch it, because the way Netflix was buffering, it was
crazy. They got to get together. They're trying to host more live events too.
Which, they got 2 Christmas Day games, NFL games they'll be hosting this year. So, you better get it together. That said, it was an event. It went. I wasn't expecting, a action-packed fight. It was an event, but it also, I think, SB really tells you the state of boxing comparative to UFC, because there was a UFC fight the next night,
which was better.
Yeah, boxing, I think, is in a very, very.
It's a down sport. You can be honest about it. It's a down sport.
Yeah, and then I think there's multiple reasons why, and certainly, maybe one day we'll get to have Khalil on, who's kind of the boxing aficionado, and love to hear his thoughts on it and talk about it. But I think just boxing is just in a very, very down place right now, as an overall sport. It's not to say there aren't some good fighters out there, because there are. I just think as an overall sport, I just think it's in a very down place comparative to UFC. And Friday night, I think a Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight is very indicative of where the game is right now. And one thing I will say, Rosie O'Donnell was commentating the fight the other night with Roy Jones, and she made some good points. But one thing she said that I did not agree with, that she said, we need to put some respect on Jake Paul for what he's doing for the sport of boxing. No, we don't. No, we don't. He's doing nothing but turning the sport of boxing into kind of the joke that the other night is.
Yeah, it turned into a joke.
And the fact that he's only, willing to fight, retired UFC guys, and obviously a 58-year-old Mike Tyson.
Or a basketball player.
Yeah, or a basketball player is very telling. So, yeah, we don't need to put respect on Jake Paul. Jake Paul is he's the clown jester of boxing, and is it bringing eyes? Sure, but it doesn't mean what he's doing for the sport is good, because I don't think it's good for the sport.
Yeah. So let me ask Leonard a question real quick. Leonard, you said, what should my Browns do next year? Nothing, lose like they've been doing. Keep losing.
Can I answer real quick? Just one thing. If the Browns somehow, some way can find a way to attach draft compensation to Deshaun Watson to trade him, meaning you're basically giving away draft picks to get off of that contract. That's what the Browns should do next year.
I don't think nobody take that contract.
It depends on what the draft compensation is. So the example is Brock Osweiler. When Brock Osweiler got traded from the Texans to the Browns, the Browns never wanted Brock Osweiler. They wanted the picks. So that's why they took on Brock Osweiler's contract. Is there a team out there with a ton of cap space? And there are going to be some teams with cap space this offseason who say, hey, we're willing to take on this contract just to get the draft compensation. We've seen it happen before. Will the Browns be a part of that again? Obviously, on the other
side, you gotta give me a second to take him.
And again, I think if from the Browns' perspective, it may be worth it just to get off of that contract. I think there's a lot of things that had to be worked out to make that happen. But that said, that's what the Browns should be really trying to do is figure out what you got to attach to that contract to trade it away, because nobody's taking it on straight up. It's give me some draft compensation, and it may take 2 second-round picks to move off of it.
I mean, yeah, that'll be crazy.
Yeah,
but Washington, the Giants.
Yeah, but we've seen, and again for the Giants, it's like you just want the draft compensation, and if Deshaun Watson comes in and is healthy and plays okay, it's a win-win for you. Plus, you got a chance to still, find another young quarterback to develop over time. I just think it's that's what the Browns should be focused on at this point.
Oh, but also back to the Tyson, to the fight thing for me. Yeah, like you're just fighting old guys. Like, that the sport of boxing is in a bad spot when a 58-year-old Mike Tyson and a content creator boxer is bringing in more views than some of your top boxers. That's bad for the sport. Where we could probably have this conversation, like you said, we could find when Khalil's free, we can figure out and talk about it because he's the boxing expert. But that tells you right there that your sport is in a bad place. If the NBA if it was like a content creator league, which they have done before, and the content creator league was pulling in more views than the NBA team game, you would say that is a problem. Now, Jake Paul is great at, I'm not going to deny, great at marketing fights, great at getting people to watch him. He figured out the way to make people hate him enough so much they're going to want to watch him. He did a great job with that. You can't deny him on that. But for the pure sport of boxing, him bringing in this many views is not a good thing for the sport of boxing. That's it. So, but also you talk about UFC fight. We did get the UFC fight. John Jones versus Stipe. With how pretty much a lot of people thought it was going to go, John Jones with the win. But obviously, John Jones, he's on the tail end of his career. He probably got 1, maybe 2 more fights in him. He want to fight Alex Pereira. But the problem with him wanting to fight Alex Pereira is Tom Aspinall, who's the interim champion. He wants to fight John because he's the interim champion. He wants the heavyweight championship. John Jones nah, I'm trying to he's trying to do legacy fights now. And he's probably trying to get a big payday. So now it's been a running meme that John Jones is ducking Tom Aspinall. Do you believe John Jones is ducking Tom? Because he want to fight Alex Pereira.
No, John Jones isn't ducking Tom Aspinall. 2 things. Number one, I think the reason why John Jones wants to fight Alex Pereira is because that's a big money fight potentially. Now there's about a 30-pound weight difference they'd have to figure out. Yeah. Do they meet in the middle? Does Pereira come up? Does John Jones go back down to light heavy? Which I don't know if he necessarily would want to do that at this point, given his age. But no, I don't think he's ducking Tom Aspinall. I think he's looking for the legacy fight and another big money fight. Because again, there's a reality. We saw Stipe retired the other night. Hunter left the other night. John Jones is getting close to the end. I think he knows it, and so it's like, okay, if I'm going to continue to do this, where's the money? I think the money is him versus Pereira. Yeah. So, I don't think he's ducking. I just think he's looking out for the money. What they'll figure out will remain to be seen. But ducking, when has John Jones ever ducked anybody?
Never.
Yeah. So Tom Aspinall, cut it out.
Yeah. And I know it's like a running thing because with Dana White be saying like John Jones the greatest of all time, and he'd be like, oh, he just glazes John Jones. No, he's not. John Jones is the greatest UFC MMA fighter of all time, no debate. And at the end of the day, I also think in my honest opinion, John Jones is not ducking. But what I think he also is doing is building up from a point of a negotiation standpoint with Dana, and Dana be like, hey, you know, I wanted the fight I want. I did all this for the company. Okay, if I'm doing this fight for you, he probably gonna ask for a massive check. And that's the point of be like, well, I didn't want to do it either. I can hang it up. But you know you want this fight just as much as Tom Aspinall begging for this fight. Which I get Tom Aspinall is younger, bigger, but it's just like John Jones is like just different, bro. It has to be for me to see John Jones lose, it had to be like a fighter like Pereira, or you know what I'm saying, where they got like a massive punching power where you could take the chance and you get caught, then the fight's over. But John Jones not ducking nobody. This man is the greatest fighter of all time. Tom Aspinall, he's gonna get his lesson learned real quick, and John Jones don't care. But
can I say one quick thing real quick, SB? And this may be controversial, but I don't care. John Jones, the fighter, is absolutely great. You know, definitely right there in the GOAT conversation of UFC fighters. But the amount of glaze after that fight I have not seen that much glaze even at Krispy Kreme. For Tupe Fiasco, for a dude who wouldn't even want you living in his neighborhood, was disgusting.
He taught the Trump dance when he hit the dance and hit the
dance. But not even just the dance, because he wasn't even dance. It was the way he was talking, and it was like.
But you know that's Trump environment. That's all Trump people that run the UFC. Though.
That ain't the point. That is not the point. It was disgust. It was a disgusting display of I can't even use the word I want to use, but let me just say that was some real company man stuff right there. And think about the other term for company man. That was some real company man stuff there, John Jones. You ain't got this man would not want you parking his car, and you were glazing him like it was Krispy Kreme donuts coming fresh out of the oven. Like, come on, man.
No,
I'm fine. All right, we can move on. I can move on.
Okay, Sean, we got to recap the picks of the week from last week. I think you got me, though. I just knew that it was gonna come down to the Ravens versus the Steelers game, and no, I was wrong. I got it right. I picked the Steelers with the upset. I told you Steelers gonna upset the toughest. The team who was sneaking one off on you was always your division rivals. But yeah, who won on a recap of the picks of the week?
Recaps of the pick of the week. First game, Green Bay at Chicago. We both took Green Bay. Green Bay obviously won that game. Jacksonville at Detroit. We both took Detroit. Detroit.
We'll put the beats on them boys.
And not the headphones. Minnesota at Tennessee. We both took Minnesota. Minnesota obviously pulled that one out. Vegas at Miami. We both took Miami. Miami pulled that one out as well. LA Rams at the New England Patriots. We both took the Rams. Rams did pull that one out. Cleveland at New Orleans. You took Cleveland. I took the Saints. Of course, Saints did win that game. Very unique game watching it, but I'll leave it at that.
It's funny that just ever since that coach got fired, your team been playing better. I don't understand.
I mean, well, yeah, because, you know, listen, when you get rid of trash, the house should smell better.
Yeah, man, this smell better. The Bears need to take notes. Look at the Saints. Look how the Saints is playing. You better take notes.
Yeah. So I got that one. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. I took the Ravens. You took Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh did win that game.
Is the Steelers time to take the Steelers? Time to take the Steelers for real? Is it serious? That defense is for sure.
Let's see if they win a playoff game.
I mean, let's see if they make it. I mean, we got to make sure.
I think they're going to make the playoffs, but let's see if they win a playoff game.
Yeah,
because that's been the big issue with the Steelers is they make the playoffs. Can you win a playoff game? Because you haven't won one in 7 years.
Yeah, they got to at least get one.
Yeah. Next game, Indianapolis Colts at the Jets. I took the Colts. You took the Jets. Colts did win that game by 1. Anthony Richardson played his best game as a starter. Next game, Atlanta at Denver. We both took Atlanta. Denver mopped them.
Denver whooped them boys.
Yeah.
Bo Nick, your boy Bo. Your boy Bo looked good. Bo looked good. Got tip, dog. You got to tip your hat to him, Sean. We can't do that.
Hold on. Rookie year. Let's see. Rookie year.
It's a good game.
Let's just see what teams do when they got some film next year. That's all I'm gonna say. If he does this next year, I will be the first to say, you know what, maybe Bo is better than we thought. But
you got to admit, he had a good game.
He had a good game. No, he had a good game. He had a good game. Seattle at San Francisco. We both took San Fran. Seattle pulled that game out late. San Fran is in trouble. Bosa's hurt. Nobody cares, but Bosa's hurt. Next game, Kansas City at Buffalo. We both took Kansas City. Buffalo obviously won that game late. Kansas City no longer undefeated. Cincinnati at the Chargers. We both took the Chargers. Chargers pulled that game out late. I think Cincinnati's playoff hopes are done at this point. And, of course, Houston at Dallas. We both took the Texans, and Houston mollywhopped the Dallas Cowboys.
I whooped them boys.
So after week 11, it is 5-5-1 going into week 12. But
close season. 5-5-1.
Yeah.
It sucks. Yeah. That Jet game got me. Also, I think the 49ers cooked too. I'm sorry to tell you, Sean. I think they cooked.
I think you might be right, SB. But again, I think it's just the attrition of being where they've been the last few years, and injuries caught up, but also it's just the nature of the game. You can't stay at the top forever. So yeah.
And I think I think Deebo Samuels had it in he was like on a podcast. He was like, yeah, it's now or never when we win. I think that window might have closed. I think last year was like that last little chance I have. And I think when it comes, you got to pay everybody. You're going to start losing pieces, start losing players. Yeah, I think we've seen the last run. And then you got to finish. You have to pay your quarterback, Brock Purdy. Once your quarterback get paid, you see what's going on with the Bengals. The Bengals, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase is playing. Their stats are at the top of their position, and they terrible. They team losing. But Sean, episode 19, who you got?
Episode 19. You know what? I'm gonna go two places. I'm gonna go to your Chargers, Lance Allworth.
You took one of man.
And I'm gonna go another off the ball place. I'm gonna go Joe Montana, the Chiefs.
Joe Montana, I like it. Well, I'm gonna go definitely Lance Allworth because he's a Charger, and I see another because I'm looking at the list right now. Another I'm gonna show love to the New York legend, Willis Reed.
Oh yeah, Willis Reed. Yeah, love Willis Reed. Yeah.
Got so love Willis Reed. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. It's been another great episode of Real Takes on Faith Base with SB and Sean Webb, and we will see you guys on Friday. Peace. We are out.
Real takes over fake debates.